Action.
Hello,
Hi.
how's everyone going?
Welcome to Off the Record with Aditi, and
Gaby.
Gaby.
And today with us,
We have Wulfie Mayfield. And hello, Wulfie.
Hello, how are you doing?
We are very, very happy and so excited to have you here today. Can't wait to
Thank you for
finish
inviting
this
me.
episode.
of course,
Yeah.
second guest for our second episode
Uh-huh.
of this beautiful podcast we're trying to get through. If everybody's ready, we should probably jump right into the
Jump
questions.
right into the questions. Are you
um,
ready for this, Wulfie?
We're very proud of the questions for this week. We're not
Yeah.
gonna lie. They're very
The
Let's hear them.
brainstorming session that we had yesterday, like Gaby and I, Gaby was in class, I had to go out,
yeah,
and then we were like, we wrote these questions actually in 15 minutes.
in 15 minutes.
In 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm glad you didn't do it in my class.
Of course, we'd never do that.
Yeah,
Come on.
no.
Okay, let's get in. So the first question we came up with was, so we introduced you, but we didn't introduce your position in the Hillingon Herald. Do you want to tell us what's basically your position in
Sure.
the paper?
Officially, I am the head of production. And what that means is that I am what is called a sub-editor. And the role of the sub-editor within the newspaper is the stories get written, the pictures get taken, and they come to me. And my job is to put the words and pictures on the page and to present them as effectively as I can. I want to make them attractive to the reader, and I want to encourage the reader
To dig
to
in the
read
stories.
the
Yeah.
pages,
Yeah.
Yeah.
to read what's there. So
Yeah.
my role is to present the paper as effectively as we possibly can.
Okay.
So you're the production editor for the Hillingon Herald.
Production editor, yeah.
So today with us, I'll go again because we have the production editor of the
Of the
Hillingon
Hillingon
Herald
Herald.
with us. Woohoo! I remember actually, since I'm the social media for the Hillingon Herald, I did a video with you like 2-3 months ago, and
You did.
I asked Wulfie that, do you want to do a video with me? He asked, what do you want me to say? And then I just went like, you can, introduce yourself. And actually, I was not aware of your position at that time either. And I was like, wow, you are really interesting. So, as you said, you are the production editor and that you do the pictures and that thing. I want to ask you, how do you come up with interesting headlines for the paper? Because as I'm a non-journalist here in this room today, when I read newspapers, I actually want, not me per se, like everyone who reads newspaper, they're like, the headline should be interesting enough, it should be eye-catching for the people to actually get hooked to the story and actually read the whole article based on just the headline. So I might be wrong here, journalists, but
No, you're
how
right.
yeah,
You're very right.
yeah. How do you do that, Wulfie? It's your job, so I would really like to hear that.
Right, the simple answer is with great difficulty.
I
Some people,
relate.
some headline writers can go like that. Steve Cohen,
Steve,
who you interviewed
exactly
last
what I was
week.
going to say.
Steve can come up with a killer headline right off the top of his head. He's really, really skilled at it.
He's
Some
very good at
people
this.
are.
So I've heard.
I'm not skilled at that. It takes me ages to think of a headline. Now, a headline, there are a number of challenges that are facing a headline writer. You need to produce something which is attractive to the reader, but you also need to describe the story in an effective manner.
Yeah.
So you need to be fair in your headline. You need to be engaging with your headline, and that can be very, very difficult. The other thing, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't realize, is that you are limited by the physical space that you have to fill. And
That's right.
that is the real big challenge. Now, some people say, well, why don't you just make the headline bigger or smaller?
Yeah.
And the fact is, there are rules.
Oh.
So for the headline space, you're saying?
Yes. Now, the fact is, the headlines must be a certain size. If you get too big, Rachel notices. If they get too small, Rachel notices. Now, I know the sizes, I know the parameters within which Rachel doesn't notice.
Ooh.
I know how big a headline has to get before she'll notice.
Ooh.
And so that gives me a certain amount of leeway. There are some editors who say it must be exactly this size. And the other thing we have to think about is that if you have 2 lines of headline, we call lines of headline decks.
Oh,
I remember that.
Yep.
of course.
So you can have a single deck headline, you may have a triple, even quadruple deck headline. But what must happen is that you don't want, well, some editors will throw 40 fits if the first line is longer than the second line. And that has been drummed into me so much that, in fact, I also throw 40 fits. If I see a headline where the first line is longer than the second one, I'm saying, no, that needs to be rewritten. You need, and you may have an idea that's really sort of snappy and all the rest of it, but if it doesn't fit, it doesn't work. So you need, that's where the huge challenge is. It's a bit like doing a kind of word puzzle,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's coming up with the words that fit
Yeah, trying to fit everything.
at that size in that space. And so headline writing is actually I think one of the most difficult things there is. It's a huge challenge. I wish I could think like Steve Cohen and just come up with ideas like that. I can't. I have to think long and hard about it. Rachel also has to think about it, though Rachel's approach will sometimes be, Wulfie, come, what do you think? Or else it's a case of, Steve, what do you think? And there will be times when I will go, Steve, come on over this. What do you think? And I'll say to him, it's about this and this and this. We need to get this in, this in, this in. And Steve will go,
Brainstorming.
such and such. And out he will come. And it will, and so sometimes you'll say, oh, that doesn't quite fit there. And you'll look, right, such and such.
Yeah.
Then do it, that and that.
He's very effective.
And he's brilliant.
I've
as
witnessed
a
it.
third person, I've witnessed this.
Yeah,
I
we
know
have,
my
we have.
POV. It is exactly what
Yeah.
Wulfie's saying.
Yeah, the impersonation is really good.
So headline writing is an art.
Of
And
course.
there are
Definitely.
some newspapers employ people just for their
Oh, okay.
headline writing skills.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned you mentioned the fact that the text is coming to you and you lay out the pages with the text, but also the pictures.
Yes.
You have to lay out the pictures on the paper, and it was actually like very nice.
Drum
I remember
roll.
drum roll. Like last week, we were laying out this page together, my TFL exclusive content here.
Your
breaking
center
news.
spread,
My
it's going to
center
be
spread.
there.
I am so excited for that
On
article.
the
You wait and you watch.
streets- On the streets around, let's see, deadline's the 22nd,
Yeah.
around the 26th.
Around the 26th.
Center
of March.
spread.
Center
Center
spread.
spread, pages
I'm in the
12
middle.
and 13.
You.
What a picture.
It's me. Hello.
You're there too, Aditi.
I am
Yeah,
there.
she's there
She
as well.
interviewed
She's
me.
in the Vox
I
Pop.
am so excited for that
You're in the Vox
article. I'm like so excited for Gaby's all articles, to be very honest.
Yeah.
Every month I look forward on reading her articles. But for this month, I mean, it's just too good.
Yeah.
Because I've seen her, how hard she's worked on this article.
Thank you.
And oh my God, I'm
Thank
so
you.
excited.
But coming back to that picture,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what makes a good picture, basically? Because I came up with some pictures, but you were like, no, we need something more. We need more, basically. And then you were describing this picture to me, and I was like, wait, I have this picture for you. And then I show it to you, and we're like, that's perfect. Well,
Exactly.
So how?
the picture that is there is what you would call an artistic picture. And that was a really effective piece of creative photography. And there are times, particularly with large sort of spreads, when you can get away with having an artistic spread, an
Yeah.
artistic image, along with more sort of standard images. And that was particularly effective because that gave us the opportunity to present something that's slightly abstract, that can almost make the reader go, "Ooh, what's this?"
Yeah.
And it piques the reader's curiosity,
Yeah.
because remember,
Yeah.
readers do not necessarily look at the headline first.
Pictures, yeah.
The
I was
visuals.
just
Often.
about to say that the more than the headlines, the pictures are the most eye-catching.
The visuals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So sometimes, in fact, I think in a lot of cases, the first thing the reader engages with are actually the pictures. And if they look at the picture, the chances are they're then going to move to the caption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to an extent,
Credits.
the caption is what we call the entry point.
Okay.
So we have what we call furniture on the page. So you have the main story, but you have entry points. So a headline can be an entry point, but also a picture and its caption can be an entry point. So in fact, captions very often need to be written with the same level of care that you would put into a headline. So it's laying out pages requires a lot of thought.
Yeah.
And so actually getting the stories on the page, that's the easy bit. And sometimes that could be like doing an extraordinary puzzle, just to get everything to fit. Then once you've got it fitted, it then comes the work of doing the headlines. And usually
Right.
I will leave the headlines till last. And so I get the stories on, and usually by the point of that, I've given the stories a read,
Yeah.
and then I've had time for the back of my mind
Yeah.
to kind of
To
process.
process the information.
And usually, what happens then, I sit down and focus on the headlines, and then it's usually a case of, oh yeah, there's that bit and that bit and that bit, and it comes together.
Yeah. But you said that you need time to come up with interesting headlines, so you need a lot of brainstorming when you do that, right? Because
Most definitely.
you keep it till the very end.
I tend to keep it. I tend to keep it to the very end. That's the way that I've developed my working practice. Sometimes a headline just comes,
Yeah.
or sometimes there will be something in the introduction
You feel inspired.
which will give me a headline idea. And in fact, when I was being trained as a reporter, I was told to consider, when I was writing an introduction, that one of the things an introduction should do is give the sub-editor an idea for a headline.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
So to an extent, that's the way I work now that I've moved across to being a sub-editor. Focus on the introduction, because that's the most important part.
Yeah.
So try to reflect that.
Yeah.
It doesn't always work, but
It's fair enough.
you've got to have a headline, and some headlines are better than others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, laying out pages takes a lot of time. And when we did it last week, we had this double spread to do. So everything, all the text was here. We just had to come up with the layout. And I think we spent at least like 2 hours on the laying out this
I
double
was
spread.
the one who was waiting for her to
Yeah.
finish so that we could do the editing of the previous
Of the
episode.
previous one, which I hope
And
you've seen.
I dozed off in between because
Yeah.
I was waiting for her. I was like, where is she? Why is she not finished yet?
I was gone for a while.
It takes a lot of time. And then I just decided to join them and
Yeah.
actually see what's going on here.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting.
And you enjoyed it. in
Yeah,
the
I
end.
did
There
actually.
you go. So,
Yeah.
so the truth is, you should have come over earlier.
Earlier, yeah. I thought I might be disturbing you guys.
No, never. You've never.
So Wulfie, you said that you do the photo layout, but as I know, and Gaby also knows, you are into photography.
Most definitely.
And not apparently, you are very good at it. I have seen your work.
Yeah.
How
Thank
did
you.
you get into photography? I would really like to know that.
I got into photography, in fact, there are several strands. When I was working as a reporter, in those days, we also had dedicated photographers.
How
Oh.
long ago was this?
We're talking about the 1980s.
Wow.
In the late 1980s, that's when I started. That's how old I am. I'm very, very old. Me. Very, very old. And in those days, things were actually quite, how can I put it? The jobs were very distinct. Photographers took photographs.
Yeah.
Reporters wrote stories.
Yeah. So no crossover.
There was no crossover. Now that has changed. Photographers have gone, unfortunately.
No.
For the most part.
Gone where?
Newspaper companies have decided that dedicated photographers are not really necessary anymore,
Okay.
That's
which I think is the wrong decision.
Yeah, I think it's poor decision as well.
But the fact is, people can learn to be good writers and good photographers, most certainly.
Yeah.
But what I always found when I started, so quite often you go to a job and a photographer would come with you. And what was great was that I'd be talking to the people involved, and the photographer would be sort of looking around a bit and looking for their photo idea. And sometimes what would happen is that the photographer would say, now look, I've noticed this over here. What's all that about? And we'd go, oh, right. So we'd focus on that. And then we'd actually find that we could write the story to the interesting picture.
So actually, the passion of journalism also led you to the
That
interest of photography.
That was one thing that happened.
An entry point.
Now, that made me aware of how you can generate pictures to go with stories. So I became a lot more aware of photo opportunities.
Okay.
So I would go on a story and I'd hear X, Y, Z, and I'd hear certain things. And I'd say to the photographer here, they tell me there's something over here that might be good, and the photographer maybe hadn't noticed that. So I would draw the photographer's attention to that, and sometimes the photographer would say, "Oh, great, that's brilliant." Other times the photographer would say, "I've noticed this over here. What's this about?" And sometimes the photographer would notice, but we worked together. There was synergy, and that was a really, really, really powerful thing.
Yeah.
I felt.
Sounds powerful.
But what happened? My first foray into taking pictures for publication happened at the end of my reporting time at a paper called the Banbury Guardian. There was the opportunity to go to Germany.
Oh.
Did you end up going?
I did.
Ooh.
I went to Germany. It was a band was going to Germany, to the twin town, Banbury's twin town.
Okay.
And the twin town is Hennef, which is near Bonn.
Gaby must be knowing this.
I don't.
She doesn't.
Sorry to disappoint.
She wasn't there.
I wasn't.
She
No,
wasn't
she's
there.
from Switzerland.
I
I wasn't
never
born
saw her.
then, Aditi. Come on. I know I'm older than you, but come on.
I can confirm. I was there. Gaby definitely
Wolfie was there. I wasn't.
there.
I wasn't.
I never saw her. Never saw her. I'd have remembered. Anyway, so in circumstances like that, it's the few times that a reporter would be allowed to take pictures. So it's a case of, have you got a camera? Yes, I have. Right, we'll give you some films. So I was issued some film.
All right, because everything was shot on film.
It was shot
Still.
on film in
Oh
those
my God.
days. So I was issued a few rolls of black and white film, and it was a case of do what you can.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I sat down with one of the trainee photographers and said, what should I look out for? And this trainee gave me some really, really good advice. So I went over to Germany and I kept the advice that his name is Mark, still is Mark.
If you
he's
see
still-
this, Mark,
He's
hello.
still alive. Mark Henderson, if you're there.
This is Aditi,
Comment.
this is Gaby.
And anyway, I had Mark's advice, and also I'd been working with the rest of the photo team, so I had a good idea of what they would look for, and I thought, what would they look for? And I found by doing that, I was thinking, aha, there we go, there's something. And I took what I could, and I came back, and I handed in the films, and they went, oh, no, let's see what rubbish is on this, then, shall we? They went off laughing. An hour later, my phone rang, and it was the chief photographer, and he was
Saying?
furious.
Oh.
And he shouted, "Why didn't you know you told? Why didn't you tell us you knew what you were doing?" And I said,
What?
That's
What?
one way.
What? He said, "These photos." I was like, "Oh, right. Have they come out of the code?" He said, "These photos are really, really good."
Oh,
I
wow.
said, "Oh, that's
I
all
don't
right,
know.
isn't it?" He said, "No, it is not all right." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "If they realise you're capable of taking pictures like this, what the hell is the point of them employing us?" And I said,
That's one way
"Oh,
to receive a compliment.
I said, don't be stupid. That's never going to happen."
And what
Andy
happened?
Cox, if you are watching this,
Ooh. There we go.
if you are watching this, 34 years on, you were right. And I'm really, really, really sorry that you were proved right. Not because I don't like being proved wrong. I just hate the fact that it happened.
There you go.
So, Andy, I'm afraid you were right. And it's terrible that he was proved right.
Andy, let us know if you're watching the video. Leave a
Yeah.
comment.
No, but we
And like
love a
and
man
subscribe.
who accepts what was wrong and what was right.
True.
Mm.
True.
Mhm. Acceptance, guys,
Exactly.
very important.
So
Beautiful message.
that was the long answer to how I went into public first got pictures published. I didn't actually bother taking photos for some years after that, partly because it was expensive to take photos.
Yeah.
Film. Am I
film.
right?
Exactly, the cost of getting film processed. Went over to digital in about 2006. I was a relative late adopter, as partly because I bought a really nice compact film camera in about 2001,
Okay.
and
The year I was born.
Yeah.
the year you were born. Again, I didn't see you because you were in the wrong country.
Not there. Not in the story time yet.
I was
no,
probably
no.
in a hospital crying.
You kept me up that night. You kept me awake that
Yeah,
night, was it?
It was
Ah,
me. It was
yeah,
me
I remember that
all
night.
along.
Ah,
Plot twist.
Plot twist.
There you were in Switzerland?
Yeah, there's a
Switzerland. I could hear you in Watford.
exactly.
Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I went over to digital in 2006, and then I met my now partner, Mel. And Mel got into digital photography as well.
Wow.
But she went out and got herself a really nice digital SLR.
Oh wow.
And she did an online course, and she began learning the serious
Yeah. How to properly use it.
how to use it properly, exactly. And I got really curious about this. So I went out and I bought a model of the same.
The same one?
I bought exactly the same camera. The difference is that her one was black, and mine had a silver body.
Ooh.
So that way we could tell them apart.
Looks
Do you
fancy.
still have those cameras?
I still have that camera. I
Wow.
still occasionally use it.
Wow.
You do the maths. I got it in 2007.
You should bring them someday to the newsroom.
Definitely.
Too much to carry. Too much to carry.
Too heavy. Yeah.
Anyway, Mel got into learning how to do it, and I began seeing what she could do, and I thought I want to do that as well. So I began learning as well, and
That's how you are here today.
that's how I began to learn the serious side of photography. Though the curious thing is this, you know that I still use film.
Yeah. Obviously, film is not dead.
If someone had told
Never will
me
be.
in 2006, when I bought that first digital camera, that I would be using film again within 5 years, I would have laughed at them
Yeah.
until they cried. But I began seeing pinhole pictures,
Yeah. You told us about this.
and I found that these pictures taken with a lensless camera and a camera you could make yourself, that got me so curious
Yeah.
that in the end, I went back to film because I
Wow.
wanted to experiment with
Yeah.
pinhole.
Yeah.
As interesting as this is,
Yeah.
I think
Time is
yeah.
a ticking on.
Time is ticking
I
on.
would listen to Wulfie all
Next
day long.
question.
Yeah. So I think we are at the end of the
Are
last
we,
question.
we are.
Yeah.
Oh, real? I mean, yeah.
You
Slowly
can
getting to the
edit.
end. Time is not something we can
Mhm.
edit, I'm afraid.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you traveled to Germany for your photography. Do you love traveling?
I enjoy travelling, but
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that I do a lot of it.
Which was your favorite place till now where you have traveled, like the favorite destination,
My
core
favourite
memory?
my favourite place is the Isle of Skye off the northwest coast of Scotland.
I knew he was going to answer that.
I
She,
first,
she mentioned it yesterday.
Yes.
We were coming up with this
Yeah.
question, and Gaby was like,
I know it's
am
gonna say the
so
Isle of
sure
Skye."
He's going to say this.
it's Skye.
Of course.
There is just something about that place that's kind of timeless, and it's of this country, it's of the UK, and it's of Britain, but somehow there's something about it which is just a place in its own little world, and it's wonderful, absolutely wonderful.
Now you are making me want to go there.
Oh,
Wulfie.
oh.
You must.
He can tell you, like, probably off the record about the whole
Yeah.
trip that he did over there when he were 19, right? Yeah.
When I was
After
18,
this episode,
19,
Yeah.
and the last time I
after
went was
this
5
episode,
years
we're
ago.
gonna have a good chat
A
about
good discussion
about that.
about it. Okay, well, that wraps up
Yeah.
the second show.
I would like to really, really, really thank you, Wulfie, for coming to our show, like making your time to come here today. We know that you have to travel a far way long to get back home, and you've been up since
5
early,
a.m.
5 a.m. Yeah, so
5:30, yeah.
5:30. Oh my
5:30 to
god.
be precise. But we really thank you for coming here today.
My pleasure. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me.
Of course.
There we
always.
go.
There you go.
I do it too.
Oh, by the way, we didn't mention. So, for the audience, the color for us
Oh, yeah.
today is
Yeah.
red and black.
Black and red.
Everything is red here because why not? And black, duh.
Yeah, there we
Look
go.
at this.
Look at us.
Look at us.
And as for the audience, again, stay tuned for next week's episode because this is only going to get better.
Not that this was not better, but you wait and you watch.
Same place, same time. Don't forget to like,
share, and subscribe.
subscribe if
Hit
you're
the
on
bell
YouTube.
icon. This was Aditi and Gaby off the record.
And bye-bye. Au
Sayonara.
revoir. Sayonara. Bye.